Talk with Tyson Brighton. Come on for the ride. We'll take you inside. Non-stop rock talk. It's non-stop rock talk with Tyson Brighton. Come on for the ride. We'll take you inside.
Welcome to Nonstop Rock Talk. I am your host, Tyson Brighton. On the show, it gives me great pleasure to welcome singer and fellow Canadian, Paul Laine. Paul, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good, Tyson. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, man. After all these years, I think I've been doing the show 6 years, and this is the first time I've actually had the opportunity to have you on. So,
like our first face-to-face, I remember doing written interviews with you before. So when it came up, I was like, oh, all right, cool. I finally get to have a face-to-face with you.
Yeah, which is awesome. And thank God for the technology of Zoom to be able to do this.
Yeah.
So we can have a face-to-face. Yeah, exactly, right? So, Paul, you have a brand new solo album entitled The Long Road Back to be released via Frontier Records on September 25th. I myself am super excited for this release. Going into this, since it has been some time since you've actually did a solo album, how did you approach it? And in the bio, it states, I finally got a chance to pick up where I left off all those years ago when I finished making Stick It In Your Ear. I assume that was kind of the goal then?
Yeah. When I first started writing, when the Frontiers first they offered me the deal right after, we were done our first contract with the Defiants, meaning after the third record was handed in. And I thought, gosh, do I want to do this? I kind of do. And what, I did think, I'm going to pick up where I left off, but what does that mean to me today? And I originally kind of had this concept idea for the record. I thought, well, wouldn't that be interesting to tell the story of what happened before I got the Stick It In Your Ear record deal? So I went down this path, first of all, where I started writing songs about my life leading up to that. And then I thought, what am I doing? I just need to write about my life since then. And so there's, on the record itself, like that was the inspiration, just kind of all the things that have happened to me on this long journey in my career, because I've been kind of all over the map in my musical life, with joining Danger, which were great years of my life. I really, we were discussing before we started this offline, like my friendships with Steve and Bruno and the reason that those friendships are ongoing. Those are wonderful years. And, Shoegazer, Dark Horse, and then, of course, ultimately the Defiants. And the Defiants is what kind of brought me back into the whole rock world, and kind of what interested me about, and this all relates to the solo record, is, when I started working with Bruno on the Defiants, I realized how I had grown as a writer, even in the rock world, right? Or genre, I should say. I really wanted to write something that was fresh and yet just had a little tip of the cap back to the past. So when it came time to write the solo record, I was already there in terms of the writing style that I had, acquired during, that's the wrong word. Anyways, the writing style that the pathway I'd head on with the Defiants. And I just kind of wanted to build on that with maybe just a little more, people compare, everyone that's heard the solo record so far, which is basically press people or people, anyone who's heard the single is like, well, it kind of sounds like the Defiants. And I go, yeah. Because I wrote those songs. I kind
That's not a bad thing, though. Those are killer.
No, I know.
Those are such good albums.
Thank you. But I feel like, hey, I kind of have this writing style and sound. And And I would say the only difference of, in terms of writing this record is, hey, it was just me writing it. And so for me, I just wrote kind of whatever I wanted,
Yeah.
And I wanted to feel like it would be a natural progression. If you listen to, Stick It in Your Ears, how many years old? I don't know,
Over 30 something years, right?
Yeah.
Is it 1990?
Yeah, 1990.
So 36 years, yeah.
Years ago, and in terms of when I wrote that record when I was 17, 18 years old.
That's crazy.
So a lot of, obviously your style's going to change over the years.
Yeah.
But so my approach was just kind of, keep in mind what Stick It in Your Ear was to me musically, but at the same time, be able to just draw a direct line from there to this. And at the end of the day, I don't really try when I write. I just receive it, and then I go, yeah, okay. It's more, I think the biggest link in it is just the personal stories inside of it. That's the link between, Stick It in Your Ears, a very young guy looking forward to his life, and The Long Road Back is looking back at my life.
That's amazing. That's a great analogy. That's cool. I mean, on Stick It in Your Ear, you worked with the late Bruce Fairbairn, which for a debut album to work with such a legend is amazing. Now going into this album, was there anything that you had brought that you said to Bruno, like in the production wise, that, like you wanted to kind of capture what Bruce had done on that debut album? Or did you kind of just keep it the way it was, the way you guys had worked together?
Yeah. I mean, we kept it the way that it was, but here's the truth of the matter. First of all, two things you have to remember is that a lot of people don't know. My introduction to Danger was through Erwin Musper.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
Who was the engineer working for Fairbairn on my record.
Right.
And the reason that Danger, there's a sort of full circle thing here. Danger asked me to join with them is because they tried to get Bruce Fairbairn to produce their record after my record was done, and Bruce said no. And Erwin heard about it and said, hey, you like that Paul Laine sound? He goes, well, I'm the guy that got it. I'm the engineer. Why don't you work with me? And so they did. That's how I met them. Now, the influences I feel, and I think Bruno would agree, is that Fairbairn influenced all of us who were interested in not just being songwriters, but being in producers and stuff from back in the day. I know certainly Bruno was always interested in being a producer when he got started in the music business, me as well. Yeah. So I always knew I'd have a recording studio, and as soon as I got record company money, that's exactly what I did to Bruno too. Yeah. Fairbairn, his production stuff, elements of that are always in my brain, and as well as other producers. But he was the biggest influence on me. I grew up because he's from here, right?
Right. Yeah.
And all the bands like Loverboy, all the stuff we grew up on, you could not help but be influenced by him. So, yeah, that's kind of my answer to that question.
Yeah. I mean, I love the Black and Blue album he did. I think right. I mean, that's got him all over it. He just added difference to them and I think those guys love that album too, but I think, and Bon Jovi hired him because of that album, right? Right. Which is, he's got a legacy, and I mean, he
does. People talked about him more. I appreciate that you're bringing him up.
Yeah, he was, I mean, a lot of the albums I listened to, he produced, a lot of the stuff I still listen to.
He was cool too, because he took on, taking on Aerosmith is a completely different thing than taking on Loverboy or taking on, Bon Jovi. God, he was working on a Yes record, which was like his passion project when he died. Fairbairn was not a guy that, he followed his passions too. And what I loved about him is that no matter what he was working on, he really did produce for the act. So although he had his stamp on things and you could go, well, that's Bruce Fairbairn production, he didn't try and mold a band. He just tried to elevate whoever he was working with. And I cool. He was a great trumpet player, horn player, great arranger. And so what a privilege to be able to have worked with him for me at the age of that, my God, he influenced me for the rest of my life.
And I forgot about that Erwin Musper connection because he did the Screw It album, which the production on that is incredible. Like there's some great, like production wise.
Yeah, Erwin's a dude, man. Erwin was, because Erwin came from a lot of things, but he also worked on Hysteria, with Mutt Lange. So
wow.
Yeah. So he worked. Yeah, so he had just chops like. Now, he was a Dutch guy. He worked at Whistlord Studios in Holland, and so which is why Danger went to go work there with him as well.
Going into Cockroach, Bruno and Steve were kind of ready to branch out on their own kind of thing and do the production, right? Because of I guess because of everything that they had learned along the way from him, I would assume.
Yeah, well, you keep your eyes and ears open if you're bent that way, and on the production side of things. And Bruno certainly was. And I think Bruno is a great underrated engineer. Like I wish the world would know about his skills.
To people and tell people, I'm like, that guy, Bruno should be like doing more. People should be hiring him to do their albums, like as an engineer, because even when you think of the work that you guys did on the Live and Nude album, and that is one of the greatest sounding live albums I've ever heard. It's just, it's such a great, and your
cool.
vocals sound, I mean, the way you guys did the vocals on that, it sounds incredible. It's like you feel like you're there, right?
Thank you. Yeah, that was my last night with the band too. I didn't know it was going to be.
That's crazy.
It turned out to be my last night doing a Danger.
I didn't realize that was your last gig.
My last night. That was my last night. A guy named Magnus Soderqvist had flown into that show. He was the head of MTM, which we were signed to with Danger. And he offered me, he's like, hey, I think you have this kind of modern writing style. I'd like to see what that would be like unleashed. I want to offer you a record deal. You just do whatever you want. That's how Shoegazer happened. So, and I thought, well, I've been in the band almost 12 years. It was kind of the deciding factor that night when he offered me that. And then I left. I go, well, maybe now's time to go and just, not share writing duties with anybody anymore.
I mean, the first single and the video, which looks really cool because it's Love Me or Leave Me. The video is just the album cover, more or less, right? It shows that album cover.
Yeah, things called visualizers.
Yeah. So that's kind of the way they went with it. Are they releasing any more singles?
Yeah, so there's a single coming out. I'm not sure which date is. I have to hand in the video by August 31st. So the next single is
cool.
Don't Let Me Go Tonight. The third single, I believe, is Someday.
Yeah, okay. That's cool. Now, what I wanted to ask you about, I love your lyric. I always love your lyrics because they've got this, a lot of your new lyrics, like the nostalgic, envisioning. You can always envision in your head these stories about, especially like when we're younger. And I love that because that's what makes, I think there's some songs on this album as well as some of the Defiants stuff that you can get a visual in your head as you're telling the story within the song.
Thank you. That's what I want. I'm so connected to my past in terms of, what's happened in my life. And when I try to compose something, I try to be as honest and real about that experience as I can. So that makes me very happy to hear that you can feel that and envision it, because that's the intention for sure.
You know what I mean? I think as we all get older, those are things we connect with when we think about when we were younger, and it's like, yeah, man, that's so cool. I just watched a home video by a band from Texas, and they had done this home video, and I had interviewed the drummer, and I said, man, all the stuff you guys were doing in this video after all those watching it, is like, that reminded me of me and my buddies when we were kids. So like that, the
Right.
kind of stupid shit we used to do when we were young, right? So,
But those are the best memories, man. Come on.
and I always
back
tell
to-
a story to my wife about my buddies and I. He had a Chevette, and in the wintertime we used to like go in the Chevette and we'd go to a snowbank, and we like stupid shit. Like we'd see how far we could drive up the Chevette up the snowbank, get out of the car, and then push it down, and then do it again. Just stupid stuff like that, right? That you did.
You never
Right.
do at 40
Right.
or 50 or whatever. Oh shit!
Exactly,
I'm
because
mortal
you're like,
now.
I can't do that now. Like everybody will think I'm crazy.
But see, that's the beauty of being young. And I think this is the thing that I think about all the time, especially when I meet older people. Like now I know people are in their 90s, and the ones that are together, and still with it and still living good lives. And it's this, when we were young, we were infinite possibility, right? That's why we did, like, every day you woke up, what are you going to do today? Right? You could be doing anything that day, and it was exciting. And then you get older, when you lose that same kind of joy for life, that's when you lose your youth. So I love being in this business because I can always stay connected, right? I mean, music keeps me young, at least in my heart, for sure.
Yeah, and those songs too, like you always talk about, like, what was the one, I think it was on the first Defiants album, there was like, you had mentioned, I can't remember what song it was, I wish I had that in my notes, but you would mention an actual song, remember listening to this and how this is what I was doing,
Oh, sure.
right? Like that stuff, it goes so well. And then, so on Don't Let Me Go Tonight is a great example. Again, you're exemplifying that through song, and you're getting that visual.
Yeah. Whole song is just a story about, and I was like, what's wrong with mentioning the track that we were listening to and how we felt about it? I'm doing
Nothing.
it. I don't care. But to me, songs are time machines anyways. If they can transport you back to a certain time, I know it certainly does for me. I can be anywhere and I'll hear a certain song and I'll go, man, I know where I was the first time I heard that song.
I do the same thing,
Right?
all the time. And I can even go back and say an album, for instance, go, I remember when I bought that. I remember where I bought it, when I bought it, and the first time I listened to it, because it meant so much, right?
You got it. Yeah, I remember I live on an island, right? Catching a ferry because Van Halen's 1984 album was coming out, and I could only get it at A&B Sound in Vancouver on whatever street it
Exactly.
was.
That's all. I think for a lot of us, that's just what we did, right? It was everything.
Yeah.
And funny enough, my 11-year-old is getting into music, and like into rock music, like our music, the era. And we took her to see Bret Michaels, and we've been twice this year, and all she talks about now is Bret Michaels. And now she's going out and wanting to, she's like, well, I need to get this now. And last week I was at the record store, and I actually bought her tapes of Poison because I was like, I think she'll find this cool, and she loved it. So it's kind of cool now that I can pass that on. Maybe it's not as much. I mean, we kind of lived that whole music thing. I mean, it was everywhere, right?
Yeah, but here's the deal: is like, good songs are good songs, and when you introduce a kid to something, I mean, kids are inundated with music that they can't help but see, but it's not necessarily rock music. So it's kind of cool to see, like, heck, man, I'm singing for Trooper, right? So we play all these massive shows everywhere, and it's all older people and young people. There's like the very few middle ground. And that's because I make a joke every night because and lastly, we want to thank all those parents out there for brainwashing their kids to listen to
That's so
this
true.
stuff. You are, right? Here you are, all these songs. And I remember the first time we went to Sweden Rock Festival with the Defiants, which is like 2016, I think was the first year. Man, it was all young people. Like, it's a massive rock festival, featuring a lot of the music that you and I grew up on. And it's cool, the scene in Europe where rock has been, kind of rediscovered in a big way almost a decade ago. And there's enough concerts and stuff to support it over there. But yeah, one of these days you'll have to get to Sweden Rock Festival, man, if you haven't been.
A buddy of mine is the singer in the band Moxie. Are you familiar with Moxie?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So so I don't know. You probably don't know this, but I do Bon Jovi. Like, I'm in a tribute band. I do Bon Jovi. So
cool.
we go all over Ontario and we do Bon Jovi, and he's a dead ringer for Bon Jovi. So through the Bon Jovi, he got this Moxie gig because our drummer also plays in Moxie. So they were just at a Sweden festival back in July, but it wasn't the Sweden Rock Festival. It was another one.
Oh, that's the Malmo one.
Yeah. So he said it was amazing. He had a blast. I was like, why can't you just put me in your suitcase, man, so I can go with you?
Yeah. The appreciation for that music is it's great. It's unreal.
And is Rob still over in Sweden? He's not coming.
Yeah, he's still in Sweden. He's like kind of taking a musical break, for quite a while. So I think that Rob, when he's ready to come back, will come back. He can only stay out. And he's done it before where he's like, I've done too much music and too much touring. And I need to take he's a very private guy.
Such a good guy.
And he's a very shy person, so it's kind of him. When he just seems to have fits and starts in the business. He seems to, okay, I'm doing this for a few years, and then he needs to take a few years off.
Wow.
So he's just, I don't have to say how incredible he is.
Man, he's like, I told him once, I was like, when you're around, I don't even want to play guitar because you're so good. I was like, and he was so humble about it. And he's like, no, don't be like that. I was like, man, like.
That's what it's like Rob. I think it's hard for Rob to even take praise. He's just a sweet, humble, a very shy guy.
Yeah.
So,
well, I hope he comes back.
But he happens to be a genius. He's a genius.
He's insane. And when he did that, I just got it actually. That Shotgun album, when he did the Shotgun Messiah stuff, and he was playing with Zinni.
Yeah.
And like, you listen to that, and you're like, wow, he killed it.
He just ripped. Yeah.
I mean, and I've seen him live probably like 3 or 4 times. No, the last time I saw Danger Danger was at M3 and Steve Brown was playing. Rob was back in Sweden. But seeing him with Danger Danger was always amazing because he just does it so flawlessly.
Yeah. Effortless. Like he's somewhere else. Like it's like he's thinking about his grocery list.
I know.
While he's,
he's like, he could be like, you remember Jason Becker used to do that yo-yo trick? Well, he could do that too. He could be that guy, right?
Totally.
All right. So her name is Trouble. I'm sure we all know someone that we can relate to like that. What a great feel. Vocal delivery is awesome. Was this actually about someone, or did you kind of just?
Yeah, of course. It was about more than one person. But like you said, it's like everybody knows, every girl knows a dangerous man and every man a dangerous woman.
So true.
It at least happened once in their life. And so I just kind of, it's like amalgamation of experiences with people that I've had where, you just go, and it's kind of like the way I wanted to write the song was kind of tongue in cheek because it's all about her power, right?
Bad Habit. I love the intro. Great song.
Thank you.
And of course, those Paul Laine hooks. I mean, you're the best at writing a hook, man.
Really?
Like, Oh man, your hooks are so good. They're so infectious. Like you listen to it and you go, "Oh man, I mean, that's always been my appeal to what Bruno does, what you do, is that I always know that I'm never going to be disappointed in what's coming out because I know those hooks is going to be like ear candy and I'm going to love it."
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, and I know for Bruno too, it's like if it's not an earworm to me, if it's not an earworm to Bruno, it goes. You know, it has to be something that, like when you write a hook, I'm talking about any writer, right? When you write a hook, and you know it's a good one. I mean, that's the best rush of why you keep composing, right? Because that's stuck in my head. I hope that stuck in other people. That's the disassociation I have, because I have no idea what anybody else really thinks about my writing and my songs, because I write them for me first, which I think most writers do. But then I move on to I'm like a junkie. I need the next
Next one.
fix, right?
Yeah.
And when I feel good in my life is when I'm composing hooks and songs that I go, yeah, I dig. You know, it's funny. Frontiers didn't want those songs on the record. They didn't want Trouble or Bad Habit. Not too heavy. We don't
Really?
we don't hear that for this record. And I'm like, no, they're going on there.
That's crazy.
Because I love writing heavier things.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, on this record, I'm going to at least write a couple heavier songs, even though those songs aren't really heavy. And then every record, including the Defiants, I always do like little tributes to songs and artists that I love. So like, Bad Habit is like just a little gentle nod to Kiss, I Was Made for Loving You, even though I
love that.
Right?
That's cool.
Nothing to do with it. Like, that 16th note rhythm guitar, right? Just like I did in We Are the Young. So I love those kind of grooves. So I think it's cool every now and then just to do a little nod, and those who get it. The
album flows so well. So without you know what I mean? Like listening to an album is about flow, and
I agree.
How the track listing and how everything goes together, which I always thought was weird when they had to change the track listing on Cockroach between the two versions. And I honestly always preferred your version, the track listing the way it was.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And how they had done it. I don't know if that was a Epic decision or Bruno and Steve.
No, that was a decision on how we felt that should flow. And I guess the Ted version was more of the label side of it.
Yeah.
So, but when I write a record, and when I write a record with Bruno, as in the Defiants, we always at the very end go, you send me your track listing, I'll send you mine. Right? So we won't tell each other. And generally, we're so close. When I wrote this record, 100%, I knew, like when I was about 3/4 of the way through, I knew how it was going to be. And in that case, thought what's missing, when I'm 3/4 of the way through, what kind of song am I missing? And I was writing a bunch of songs. There's other songs that didn't make the record, but yeah. I knew that it had to be a certain way. I think it's old-fashioned probably to think that way because we live in such a single-driven market, but I still listen to whole records at a time.
I do too.
Yeah, I want it to tell me a story and take me on a journey and all of that cliched stuff that people used to say all the time, but fuck it, it's true, man. It's true.
What's funny is another artist I recently talked to. I had interviewed him, and in the interview, he kept saying to me, he's like, you got to listen to the album through headphones, but not through streaming. So he sent me a copy of the CD, and I said, I reached out to him again, and I said, listen, man, I was like, let's do another podcast, and we'll talk about the whole album after I've listened to the whole album through my headphones, and I'll make my notes and sit on it for a bit, and then we can talk about it, because I think it's going to be amazing. Because I've already started. Before we started, I put on the first track and listened to the headphones, and I was like, man, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yes. Yeah. I love that artist asked you to do that, because that's what I want everyone to do.
Right.
They're like, because there's all these little production things that, they're like little Easter eggs that are hidden in there, and sonically, it's just, you hear it. Making the record, I wore headphones the entire time,
Yeah.
so you kind of work that way.
That's cool. I will do that with this album when I get it too. Not the streaming version. Like, I listen to streaming through headphones all the time. Yeah. It's not the same, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not getting it's compressed, and you're not getting the essence, right?
Yeah.
And the work that's all put
you're gonna find all the little ear candy bits.
Yeah. I mean, I have the 3 Defiants on vinyl. I have the vinyls of those, which I'm like, I just finally got an input jack for my receiver. So I was like, now I got to go back and put a bunch of stuff on through headphones to just get a different experience, right? But I have a lot of music. So
right. Yes. Yeah. Of course.
I might be down here for days.
Yeah, who's got time?
Right. Exactly. Now, Kiss Me California. In the beginning, I was like, this kind of has like that. It has a Springsteen type of vibe to it, which I thought was cool. And then it changes a little bit, but I love it. And as always, you portray, your ballads are just as great as your hooks on the other songs, on the the prolific, storytelling songs. And you always have a way of projecting a ballad, which I always loved your version of Don't Break My Heart Again, because I remember you saying, this is my favorite back then. This is my favorite song that Steve and Bruno ever wrote.
Yeah.
And the way you sang that, I just always thought was like, man, it's so believable.
I think if you don't connect to something, that's a Steve and Bruno song, right? But you can connect to the lyrics, or you can just sing them. And I love other artists' versions of songs they didn't write sometimes too. And I'll go, because they're so connected to it. And I go, this is almost cooler than the original version.
I know.
Something meant something to that singer when they sang it. And so they're connecting to it that way. And look, when you go to watch a movie and you see a great actor, the reason why that performance is great is because it's real, because like they're connected to it. And I think the same thing when you see an artist that really gets behind the music that they write. That sounds like it sounds trite to say that, but I think over time, lots of artists just kind of phone records in, and I hate it.
Right.
I don't, especially in our genre, I do not like people not putting their full heart and soul into the thing. Like I always say it, don't let, and it's a thing for me to keep telling myself, which is this: don't let the last thing that you write be the worst.
Oh,
just
good point.
Don't, keep. I would be so bummed out if people put on a record of mine and went, he kind of gave up. He doesn't care anymore. And I don't have the most massive audience. I'm not the biggest anything in the world, but I certainly care about remaining true to myself and what I want to do emotionally with these songs and how and what I want to write. It's a lot of work, these albums, but there's great joy in putting out something that at the end of the day you can feel good about.
Yeah, it's like Save Me Tonight off the first Defiants. That's one of my favorite songs.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you.
It is. I love the mid section too. It's so amazing.
That's, I think, the second song I wrote for the record. You can always tell, some people can tell which songs are like where I started that one and which one Bruno started.
Yeah.
Generally a heavier one, it's like heavier riff. Okay, Bruno came out with that riff, and then I came and tamed it down or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's funny because I said to Bruno would tell me, I would talk to Bruno and he'd go, yeah, I didn't write that one, like Coming Home. He's like, no, Steve wrote that. And I was like, oh.
yeah.
I was like, you can tell which ones Steve wrote and which ones he wrote too. You know?
Yeah. Bruno and I tend to be able to just, that's why the Defiants was a yes for me, because, and this is no slight to Steve, it was just, hey, I wonder what it would be like to just have Bruno because we were always very in agreement and very similar in our approaches to things. So I thought, that is one of the reasons I said yes. The other one was obviously sentimental, So Frontiers knew what they were doing when they asked us to make a record.
That's awesome. Now that you don't love me anymore, which is like a total ballad, because the other one's more of a slower song. It's not really. This is beautiful. And I love the piano, and then you can. This one I want to hear through headphones because I listen to it just through my phone, and I can hear the piano and I hear the acoustic guitar. So when you put the headphones on that one, I'm sure I'm gonna hear like so many other things.
Yeah, that's got a lot of ear candy in it, and just the production on it is very, very cool. I think you're going to just dig how massive it sounds, even in the areas where it's not a lot going on. We really tried to go for this, I don't know, arena rock production on it.
I love that. Now, I wanted to ask you about being signed to Elektra Records.
Yeah.
They released Stick It in Your... What was the relationship like with them? Do you feel like they worked hard for you?
No, well, it's a complicated one because I was signed directly to Elektra through an agreement with Bruce Allen and Bruce Fairbairn's company. They had a company called Penta. So Penta was a company put together by Bruce Allen, Bruce Fairbairn, the ex-RCA America president, John Ford, what was his last name? I forget, my publisher, Cliff Jones, and Sam Feldman, which is a massive agency in Canada, Sam Feldman Agency. So those five guys, hence Penta, Greek for five, they it's really hard to explain their company. They basically were like talent searching. And because they had all of that group, and they were a record company themselves, sort of, using Elektra as their distribution and their money and everything.
Okay.
It's because when all those five guys got together and said, well, we want to start this music company, all the labels came running. They went with Elektra Records simply because it was a smaller label that did not sign a lot of artists, did not have a lot of rock artists, like very few. And Motley Crue and Metallica were there. An
Faster Pussycat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't. Oh, and Lynch Mob.
Yeah. So just very, very few, whereas all the other labels had massive amounts of them. So,
yeah.
So, and their, Penta's whole thing was to sign rock acts and have this whole team sit on the board. And I mean, that's how I got Bruce Fairbairn, because I had two other record deals on the table, and I just said, you guys give me your guy and I'll sign with you.
Well, I think it's amazing that as a Canadian you signed with an American label, more or less, right?
Yeah, and it was a help and a hindrance. It was a help in the sense that the only reason I still have a career today is because I signed with a US label. I think I would have just gotten lost if I was signed to a Canadian label back then. It allowed, mainly because it gave me a career in Europe and, South America and Australia. If I had just signed a Canadian record deal, no one would have ever heard of me. Now, the other issue is I really didn't get to play in Canada much, simply because
really?
I was signed to an American. The Canadian arm, which was WIA back then, Warner Electric Atlantic.
Yeah.
they just viewed me as an American artist, even though I was Canadian. So it was very hard for me to get foothold in Canada. So I didn't, I think I toured Canada twice and that was it. And so, yeah, it was a hindrance that way. It's very, I'm sort of reliving, I'm getting to not relive, but I'm getting to live a childhood fantasy in terms of singing for Trooper because
You're in Canada.
I'm in Canada and I finally get to do, all these shows with a great Canadian band. And yeah, it's not my music, but look, I started opening for Trooper. That was one of the first acts I ever went on the road with when I had my solo.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
Trooper
cool.
Helix, yeah.
Oh, and Helix too.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So, in fact, the guys in Paul Laine from the solo records, Scott Brown and Paul Gogo, they're in Trooper. They've been in Trooper since I joined Danger.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's cool.
As soon as I left and went to New York in '92, Trooper grabbed those guys and put them in their band, and they've stayed with them ever since. Yeah,
that's amazing. Now, when you joined Danger, was there a negotiation? Did you have to get out of your Elektra deal? Did Epic have to talk to Elektra and get you out of that?
No, because I had already left. I got in what had happened, it's a really long story, so I'll try and just do the basics of it. Penta, who was handling all the Elektra money, did not finish paying off the studio bill to Little Mountain Studios where I recorded it. I had no idea. And the reason why they didn't do that, they didn't say they weren't going to. They just, a new owner had taken over. Little Mountain Studios was owned by a guy named Bob Brooks for decades. And a new guy came in, was buying the studio, and he said, hey, the biggest creditor is Penta Elektra with this Paul Laine record. Now, my record cost $250,000 to make, and there's 50 grand owing on it. Had no idea. So the new studio owner just said, hey, pay this money or I'm going to freeze this record. And Bruce Allen at the time, and absolutely truthfully, he said, you don't come to my town and tell me what to do. I manage every single person at that studio. I manage Bob Rock. I manage Bruce Fairbairn. I'll pay my bill, but don't tell me when. And the guy just pulled the trigger. He's a Toronto guy, and he just pulled the trigger, and my record got frozen. And then Bruce, in the meantime, had come to me and said, we're getting you out of the Elektra deal, and we're moving you to Irving Azoff's new label. It was called Giant at the time. And Irving...
I remember that label.
Yeah. And Irving flew up and saw the band and said, yeah, I want to sign it. And then I got wind of what was actually happening, because I did not know that any of this was happening behind the scenes, that there was unpaid bills and all of this kind of Mexican standoff, if you will, was happening between my management company and this poor business guy who just bought the studio. And morally, I just turned me inside out. So I fired everybody.
Wow.
And I, asked to be and got let go. Wow. And thankfully had made my publishing deal with my record contract coterminous when I signed the deal, meaning everything would terminate at once, which isn't the case. Yeah. And so that freed me up to be able to go join Danger. So when they, here's the other thing. I made a deal with the guy who was suing the company that I belonged to. He just said, I didn't make a deal with him. He just said, I'm going to give you, I think what was done to you is really wrong. And when this is all over, when this court case is over, I'm giving you your masters back because I own them. So he did. He gave me Stick It In Your Ear. And that's why I own Stick It In Your Ear now.
You do? Wow.
Yeah. So
which leads me to my next question. I believe you had posted maybe a couple of years ago that it may come out on vinyl.
Yeah. After that, Frontiers, made a couple offers to take over all of my catalog, but I just wasn't ready to let it go.
I don't blame you.
So as far as Stick It goes, I will release it on vinyl, and I'll release it kind of when it makes sense. I never want to do anything just for kind of money or greed or whatever. I just, there's so many reissues and reissues and reissues, and that kind of bothers me. So I'll figure out a time to release it, and then I would like maybe add a few extra songs that would be digitally downloaded or whatever at the same time.
Cool. I'm always looking to see if it's out. Like every so often I'll go, I wonder if that ever came out, and I'll look.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, it hasn't come out yet. And I know hopefully it does one day. So
yeah, no, it will. It totally will. But again, I got to write a couple more.
I totally get that though, man. I respect that. The fact that you want to do it,
just purposely,
Yeah, and I respect that a lot. It's just like I would love to see them release a double album of Cockroach, of do the two, and I don't know if that will ever happen, but I would love that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I don't think it will, because it'd have to be like 4 records or something.
I know. I was thinking that today. I was like, how many records would that be?
That'd be a weighty delivery, and you're.
Oh, would it ever? It'd probably cost you $200, $100 for the album, $200 for shipping.
Yeah, right.
Wow. And you know what? It's crazy because like I think of the Dawn album and how much, the times were so weird, and you guys just came out with this back to basics.
Yeah.
And as far as Punching Bag is still one of my favorite Danger songs
cool.
ever. I love that song. Helicopter's cool, and it was, I didn't hear it till years later though, because it was such a weird time.
You should like Bruno's remixed it. It sounds like this modern record, and I hope
did?
that he's, because he just I don't know, like maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe when we first started, that was longer than that, we started the Defiants. He's like, hey man, I've just been remixing Dawn, with modern production, because we hated the mix on that record. We just that was a tough record. That's the first record we all wrote together, and you're right.
Yeah.
It was a very strange time where, grunge had taken over, and, we were trying to marry the, just kind of do something that was relevant. And at that time we weren't even going to be Danger, because I hadn't come out with the band as Danger yet.
Right. Yeah, because your album got shelved, right? Like, the Cockroach was shelved.
Our band name and released this thing, which had my vote. And in the end, everybody kind of freaked out, and Danger it was. So, but yeah, Bruno's, he's slowly remixed the record.
He's crazy. That's funny.
The sounding album, which is cool.
Is that on streaming, Paul? Is that available on streaming, or he just has it?
No, he just has it. No one's fucking heard it, man. No one's.
Wow. I want to hit him up and say, I want to hear, what does this sound like? That's cool. That is amazing. Now, one more song I want to ask you about before I let you go. But thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. No.
You and I talked about this, and I thought years ago, and I thought this was a great story. $6 Million Man off Return of the Great Gildersleeves.
Yeah.
And you kind of gave me a rundown on that, but I think it'd be cool to talk about it again, because there is a whole premise why you had written this song, right?
Yeah, well, there was a couple reasons. Number one, there was, the financial implications of it was that they kept announcing that there's going to be a $6 Million Man movie, right?
I wish. That would be so cool.
I know. I think they've lost everyone's too old probably now to see that.
Yeah.
To get the reference, right? So that kind of idea was always in my head, because I've been hearing for years about that. And then I just liked the idea of coming from the standpoint of, everybody, how do I put this? It's like everybody in a relationship is living inside their own movie,
Yeah.
And usually you're the hero of the tale, I just thought it was an interesting concept writing wise when I was writing the song, to look at him as this broken man, and at the time in my own life, I was feeling quite broken about a few things. So, Jamie Summers has left you for dead.
Yeah, and your suit is faded red.
Red, man. And it
Like,
was
that
all
is
just to use the
That's the
symbolism of,
best.
yeah, this hero is now, is a faded hero and broken hero. And of course, I was looking at certain aspects of my own life at that time too. And I don't know if I ever talked about that, because the questions about $6 Million Man are few and far between.
Yeah, right.
In an interview, but yeah, I thought it was, it also was a song about, you start your life with all of this pomp and circumstance and joy and lust for everything, and then when shit doesn't work out as you get older, you too could be with your suit faded red and someone leaving you for dead.
It's so true, man. Those are great lyrics. I mean, that album was, when you think of what is on that album, I love I Do. And then Bruno sings Cherry Cherry. Is that the name of that song?
Yeah.
Right?
We had to educate a lot of people on that.
Yeah, which was cool. And then Grind is on there, and Drunk and Wasted. That was a great album. And then a few Cockroach songs in there as well.
Yeah. Well, because there was, things because Cockroach hadn't come out yet. And it was like, what are we can't just leave these great songs.
I know. But did you guys ever feel like you're like, oh man, I wish we could, like, we technically don't get to write a whole new album. We're adding these other songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that feeling like, oh, these are old songs, but people haven't heard them, so we've got to put them on there kind of thing.
Well, that was it. And it was also like, because if they never came out, it'd be a shame. And so at that time, it was like, well, Cockroach is never coming out, like never. Right. So of course, those songs did need to appear, and those were reworked and re-recorded, and I was happy. I loved, like, my favorite when I did the Cockroach record originally. I did that in 3 days.
That's crazy.
Sick Little Twist is all I had, and Sick Little Twisted Mind. When I heard that song, I lost my mind. I'm like, I love this song, so I still do. I always put it in my set.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love that song. And it fit your voice perfectly. It was that song was geared more towards your vocal, I think, than Ted's.
I think so as well. This is a heavier.
Because you gave it balls, right? Not that Ted didn't, but you gave it a little bit more balls. And I always thought that was cool. And Bruno, actually, I asked him once, I said, what did you do on the bass on that song, man? And he told me, and I was like, I don't know if I should give it away because I know exactly what he did on it, but
probably shouldn't.
No, we can't. People need to be guessing, but he did tell me once, and I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, so, that's a massive tone.
It's crazy. I was like, how did you do that, man? So he was nice enough to tell me, which I thought was cool. Yeah, that I always told him, I said, you know what? I said, that album was like, I love that album so much that was your Slippery When Wet, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree with that statement too.
You know what I mean? Had it been 3 years prior and it came out, I think it would have been, I think the two ballads on there were fantastic. And then there was just straight ahead rock songs and like hard rock songs that were just fantastic.
Well, I figured that the band had matured. Like when I heard that record, because that's part of like, them asking me to join, I was sort of a bit apprehensive because the first two records, and that's not to shit on them at all, they're great records, but I was like, is this going to be a record about blowjobs and,
Right. Yeah.
But it was like you heard the record and you went, oh my God, this is like a serious, they've grown up as songwriters and this is like a seriously good album. And so when I heard it, I was like, I have to do this. I have to do this record. I love this record. And I've only heard it once.
That's crazy. I remember the first time I heard it when I finally got it. And I was like, wow. It was just one of those things. I just kept listening to it and listening to it. And like Going, Gone, that middle section. I think I told Bruno once this. I said, it's got like a Michael Jackson flavor to it almost. I was like, like it's just got that feel to it. Which,
you mean like step to the table?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
great bridge.
Yeah, that was such a cool. Anyways, I mean, like I said, hopefully one day we'll get a 4 platter vinyl of cockroach. That's gonna weigh 100 pounds.
Those guys again, and just go. You play one show,
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Songs.
Anyways, Paul, I want to thank you for joining me today. With all that said, do you plan on touring this album?
I do, yeah. I'm already booking some shows for next year. I am playing that same AOR festival in Malmo in Sweden. Just got asked to do Frontiers Festival, bless their hearts. So it looks like I'll be doing that in Milan again, which we did Defiants. And a few other festivals have reached out to me. Right now, I'm trying to figure out what things I can say yes to between the Trooper schedule and what I can do. So it means working, being able to say yes to some summer festivals in Europe, and then having to do, kind of the fall and spring kind of stuff. Trooper tour sort of June, July, August, pretty heavily, beginning of September. But I am saying yes to some summer things next year. I'm also planning on going to Australia, I think maybe next February, because summer there. And been talking with a few folks there about me coming back, because I've gone there, I think, 3 times already. So that's an easy one to go do. Not doing a lot in February.
Yeah. Oh, I don't blame you. I mean, I think it's crazy that, I'm happy that you're out doing Trooper, but I feel the same. I don't know if you know the band Von Groove. They're also on Frontiers.
Yeah.
Well, they're Canadian too. And it's the same thing. I was like, how much did you guys play here? Oh, not very much. I'm like, why? Like,
well, you got to go where your audience is, right? And that's not up to you, right? It's not up to you at all.
It's crazy to me. I'm like, we should be embracing these like amazing. We're so lucky to have these great artists in this country, and we don't embrace it the way we should.
Yeah, Canadians don't know about them. That's it's just how it is.
I know it's disappointing, but because I even asked him, I said, Michael Shotton lives an hour and a bit from me, and he's out playing. He does a Steely Dan tribute, and I said, like, are you going to do a gig here in Toronto? He's like, no, I don't think so. I was like, he's like, we would love to, but I don't know who would come out.
Yeah, man, that's just the way it is, right?
Yeah.
Nothing we could do. Hey, I got to let you know too, like, gosh, we were just in Kitchener, and
no way.
Yeah, we played this massive outdoor thing on Queen Street, and that was like 20,000 people.
How long ago was that?
That was, I don't know, 3 weeks ago.
Okay, I just played in Kitchener. That was a couple of months ago. Yeah,
we played Ottawa, the Hard Rock, that same week, which was that was a blast too. Yeah, and then we did Muskoka, Gita Ballad.
You were just here, man.
Yeah. But we're coming back in November. There's an 8 or 9 show run where. Okay. And I know we're going to be close to you somewhere. I don't know if we're playing. I'm going to send you my schedule, because I just sent you an email, so it's still the same email.
Yeah, and I have you on Messenger too. I had messaged you the link on Messenger as well. So
okay, yeah, come and see it. It's a riot.
I wish I had known sooner.
Yeah,
I guess. Like, I wish I had, because my schedule usually, I'm away a lot of like I'm playing a lot of weekends, but I don't play every weekend, and even during the week is fine. I have a full-time job too, so, but that doesn't matter.
No, I get it. Hey, we're doing Rama as well, Casino Rama.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
When's that?
That's in February. I think I can tell you that right now. I think it's on this calendar here. Hang on. Let me just go to my Google calendar. Calendar. Where are you?
Have you been there? Have you played there before?
No. I've seen footage of that. That's a great stage.
It's a great stage. Yeah.
Oh.
I saw Roth there.
Oh, cool.
I saw Whitesnake there.
Oh, hey, I can tell you the Ontario date so far. It starts on the 11th of November. We do Burlington, then North Bay, then Richmond, then Guelph, then London. One day off on the 16th, St. Catharines, Kingston. And I think they're going to, I don't know if any of those are close to you. I forget where Oshawa is.
Oshawa's in between, like we're 45 minutes east of Toronto, so it'd be on the way to Kingston. But,
Okay.
But St. Catharines isn't that far. Guelph isn't that far. Rama's like an hour and a half for us. It's not that big of a deal.
Okay. Yeah. Rama is, I'll give you the Rama date. It's January 16th.
Okay. Oh, that would be cool. That's right around my wife's birthday.
So yeah, I'm just going to leave you tickets and
Okay.
and all that stuff. But yeah, I'll send you our schedule, and if there's something you can make, just like hit me up and
I will, man. That's awesome. That would be a blast. It would be great to see you
just
and meet you in person.
Yeah, and you'll see all the other Paul Laine guys too, because they're in.
Yeah, which is so cool. That is awesome. All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day. And,
all right, man. Too. This has been great chatting with you.
Yeah.
This has been a really fun interview.
Okay, man. Thanks so much.
Okay.
It was awesome. I had a blast.
You bet. Yeah,
Okay.
take care.
Cheers, Paul. Bye.